Hollywood, the land of glitz and glamour, has always had a darker side lurking beneath the dazzling lights. While the golden age of Hollywood gave us unforgettable stars, many of them lived tragic lives that ended in sorrow. Their autopsy reports, once hidden from the public eye, have revealed heartbreaking details, secrets of addiction, loneliness, and untimely deaths. Today, we'll uncover the saddest things found in the autopsies of some of Hollywood's biggest legends. Marylin Monroe, the epitome of beauty and sensuality, was found dead in her Los Angeles home on August 5, 1962. Officially ruled as a probable suicide due to a drug overdose, her autopsy painted a heartbreaking picture of a woman who struggled with deep emotional wounds. The toxicology report revealed lethal amounts of barbiturates in her system. But here's where things get eerie. There were no traces of pills in her stomach, leading to decades of speculation. Did she ingest them in liquid form, or was there foul play involved? Even sadder was the physical state of her body. At just 36, Monroe's internal organs showed signs of chronic pill abuse. Her colon was inflamed, likely due to habitual laxative use, and her liver bore the marks of years of substance dependency. Monroe, who was once Hollywood's brightest star, was in reality a woman struggling with pain, insomnia, and loneliness. Judy Garland, best known as Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, was a victim of Hollywood's relentless pressures. From a young age, studio executives forced diet pills and amphetamines on her to keep her weight down and energy up. These harmful habits followed her into adulthood, leading to a lifelong battle with substance abuse. When she was found dead in her London apartment in 1969, the autopsy confirmed what many feared. She had overdosed on barbiturates. Her liver was in poor condition, showing severe cirrhosis, and her stomach lining was almost non-existent due to years of medication abuse. What made her death even more tragic was that she had been trying to rebuild her life. She had just remarried and expressed hopes for a comeback, but decades of Hollywood mistreatment had already taken their toll. James Dean, the rebellious heartthrob of the 1950s, met a violent and tragic end at just 24 years old. Driving his Porsche 550 Spyder, he collided head-on with another vehicle on September 30, 1955. His autopsy revealed the horrifying extent of his injuries. His neck was broken, his jaw shattered, and his chest crushed. Internal bleeding filled his lungs, making survival impossible. But one chilling discovery was that he had survived the initial impact. He had likely suffered extreme pain before losing consciousness. Dean's body was so mangled that some reports say his legs were nearly severed. The Hollywood idol, who once had the world at his feet, was reduced to an unrecognizable figure in a matter of seconds. Natalie Wood's death remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. The West Side Story actress drowned in 1981 while on a yacht trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and co-star Christopher Walken. Her death was initially ruled an accident, but when her autopsy was re-examined years later, unsettling details emerged. Her body had multiple bruises on her arms, wrists, and legs, suggesting a struggle before she fell into the water. Even more disturbing, there was a significant amount of alcohol and a sedative in her system, making it unlikely that she would have been able to swim to safety. Her death certificate was later amended from accidental drowning to drowning, and other undetermined factors. To this day, many believe that something sinister happened that night, and her autopsy only deepened the mystery. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, died in 1977, but his autopsy revealed a shocking truth. He had been suffering for years. Found collapsed on the bathroom floor of his Graceland mansion, Elvis had over a dozen drugs in his system, including powerful painkillers and sedatives. His heart was enlarged, his liver was severely damaged, and his intestines were impacted. With years of undigested food, a condition likely caused by prolonged opioid use. The image of Elvis, once full of life, reduced to a lonely and sick man struggling with addiction, is one of the most tragic stories in Hollywood history. Sharon Tate, a rising Hollywood actress, was brutally murdered in 1969 by members of the Manson family. At the time of her death, she was 8 months pregnant, making the crime even more horrific. Her autopsy report detailed the extent of the violence. She had been stabbed 16 times, and 5 of those wounds were fatal. Even in death, her body showed signs of a desperate fight to protect herself and her unborn child. The sheer brutality of her murder shook Hollywood to its core, and the images from the crime scene remain among the most disturbing in history. Phoneix, one of the most talented young actors of his generation, died outside the Viper Room nightclub in 1993. He collapsed on the sidewalk, convulsing in front of his friends and family. His autopsy confirmed a lethal combination of cocaine, heroin, and other substances. His heart was twice its normal size and his lungs were filled with fluid, a sign of acute overdose. The saddest part? His brother, Joaquin Phoneix, was the one who made the desperate 911 call, pleading for help. River was only 23, and his death was a tragic loss to Hollywood and his loved ones. Heath Ledger's death in 2008 was another devastating blow to Hollywood. The Dark Knight star was found unconscious in his apartment, and his autopsy revealed a toxic cocktail of painkillers, sleeping pills, and anti-anxiety medications. While no illegal drugs were found, the mix of prescriptions proved fatal. His body showed signs of respiratory failure, meaning he likely stopped breathing in his sleep. Ledger had been struggling with insomnia, a side effect of his intense role as the Joker, but the very medications meant to help him cope ultimately took his life. Anna Nicole Smith, the former model and reality TV star, died in 2007 under eerily similar circumstances to Marylin Monroe. Her autopsy showed a lethal overdose of prescription drugs, including sedatives and anti-anxiety medication. Her body was also severely malnourished, and her system showed signs of long-term substance abuse. What made her death even more heartbreaking was that just months before, she had lost her son, Daniel, to a drug overdose. Some believe she never truly recovered from the grief. Robin Williams' death in 2014 shocked the world. Initially believed to be suicide due to depression, his autopsy revealed something far more heartbreaking. He had been suffering from Lewy body dementia, a degenerative brain disease that affects cognition, movement, and emotions. His brain showed severe damage, explaining his struggles with anxiety, paranoia, and memory loss. In his final days, he was confused and deeply frightened by the changes happening to him. Had he known the true extent of his illness, some believe he might have found peace in understanding what was happening to him. Bela Lugosi, best known for his iconic portrayal of Dracula, spent his later years struggling with morphine and methadone addiction, initially prescribed for chronic pain. When he passed away in 1956, his autopsy revealed severe malnutrition, indicating he had been neglecting his health for years. His internal organs showed signs of prolonged substance abuse, and his body was frail, a stark contrast to the powerful figure he once was. Tragically, Lugosi died penniless, buried in his Dracula cape as he had requested. Jayne Mansfield, a Hollywood bombshell of the 1950s, met a gruesome end in 1967 when her car crashed into the back of a truck. Her autopsy confirmed multiple skull fractures and nearly complete decapitation, though rumors that she was fully beheaded were later debunked. Her injuries were so severe that the scene became one of the most infamous car accidents in Hollywood history. The tragic death of Mansfield led to the implementation of the Mansfield Bar on trucks, designed to prevent similar fatalities. Dorothy Dandridge, the first black actress nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress, died at just 42 in 1965. Her autopsy revealed she had suffered from an overdose of antidepressants. She was also malnourished and had developed a rare embolism in her right foot. Financially ruined and emotionally exhausted, Dandridge's body reflected years of mistreatment by Hollywood and the pressures of being a black woman in an industry filled with racism and rejection. Arts legend Bruce Lee died unexpectedly in 1973 at just 32 years old. His autopsy revealed massive brain swelling. His brain had expanded nearly 13% beyond its normal size. Initially attributed to a reaction to painkillers, later theories suggested heat stroke, an allergic reaction, or even foul play. Lee had been suffering from headaches and seizures in the weeks leading up to his death, but doctors never diagnosed an exact cause. His sudden passing remains one of Hollywood's greatest mysteries. These tragic autopsies reveal a haunting truth. Fame and fortune couldn't save these stars from their inner battles, physical suffering, and untimely ends. Hollywood may have immortalized them, but their deaths serve as a sobering reminder of the darker side of stardom. Grace Kelly was the embodiment of elegance, beauty, and grace, both in Hollywood and as the Princess of Monaco. She had left her successful acting career behind to marry Prince Rainier III, seemingly living a fairy tale life. However, her sudden and tragic death on September 14, 1982, shattered that image. The 52-year-old princess was driving back to Monaco with her daughter, Princess Stephanie, when her car veered off the road and plunged down a steep mountainside. The crash was devastating, but the autopsy revealed an even more tragic detail. Grace had suffered a stroke while driving. This meant that she had lost control of the vehicle not due to reckless driving but because of a sudden medical emergency. Her injuries were severe. The autopsy confirmed multiple fractures, brain hemorrhaging, and internal bleeding. Though she was rushed to the hospital, doctors determined that the damage to her brain and internal organs was too extensive to save her. She passed away the next day, leaving behind a grieving family and a heartbroken nation. Adding to the sorrow, her daughter, Princess Stephanie, who was in the car with her, survived with minor injuries but was left traumatized for life. Many speculated whether she had attempted to take the wheel in the final moments to prevent the crash. The tragic irony of Grace Kelly's death was that a woman who had lived a life of poise and perfection was taken by a cruel twist of fate that no one could have foreseen. Sal Minieo was a rising star in Hollywood, best known for his role as Plato in Rebel Without a Cause alongside James Dean. His career took off in the 1950s, and he was hailed as one of the most talented young actors of his generation. However, by the 1970s, his career had slowed down, and he was struggling to find roles. He had also become more open about his sexuality at a time when Hollywood was still highly judgmental of LGBTQ+ actors, leading many to speculate that this played a role in his declining career. On February 12, 1976, Sal Minieo was returning home from rehearsals for a play when he was brutally attacked outside his West Hollywood apartment. He was stabbed in the chest and left to bleed out in the parking lot. A neighbor heard his screams and rushed to his side, but it was too late. Minieo succumbed to his injuries before paramedics could arrive. His autopsy report confirmed that he had suffered a fatal stab wound that pierced his heart, causing rapid, internal bleeding. He also had defensive wounds on his arms, suggesting that he had fought for his life in his final moments. Initially, rumors spread that his murder was linked to his sexuality, with some believing it was a hate crime. However, after a lengthy investigation, police arrested Lionel Ray Williams, a young man who had been committing robberies in the area. Williams claimed that he had no idea who Minieo was and that the attack had been a random robbery gone wrong. Though his murderer was caught and convicted, Sal Mineo's death remains one of the most senseless and tragic in Hollywood history. He was only 37 years old, with so much potential still ahead of him. His autopsy revealed not only the brutality of his final moments but also the tragic loneliness he had faced in the later years of his life. Jean Harlow, known as the Platinum Blonde of Hollywood, was one of the most popular actresses of the 1930s. With her sultry looks and remarkable comic timing, she was a box office sensation, starring in films like Red Dust, 1932, and Dinner at 8, 1933. However, her life was marred by personal tragedy and illness. Harlow was diagnosed with kidney failure at the young age of 26, and her death on June 7, 1937, shocked the Hollywood community. The cause of death was later attributed to uremic poisoning, a condition resulting from kidney disease. The actress had been ill for some time before her passing, but it was the rapid decline in her health that caught many by surprise. Her autopsy confirmed the severity of her kidney failure, revealing that her organs had been severely damaged, likely due to a long history of health problems that were not properly treated. Though Harlow had been battling illness in private, her sudden death at just 26 left Hollywood heartbroken. Her tragic passing was a reminder of the fragility of life, particularly in the high-pressure world of old Hollywood, where health concerns were often ignored or misunderstood. Virginia Rappe was a silent film actress who became one of the most tragic figures in Hollywood history. She was linked to a scandal that involved silent film star Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, which ultimately led to her untimely death and a public spectacle that ruined her career. In September 1921, Rappe died under mysterious circumstances after attending a party hosted by Arbuckle. The details surrounding her death were contentious, as it was initially suspected that Arbuckle had sexually assaulted her, causing internal injuries that led to her death. However, her autopsy revealed that Rappe had been suffering from pre-existing medical conditions, including an enlarged bladder and chronic cystitis. These factors may have contributed to the ruptured bladder that was believed to have caused her death. Though her death was tragic in itself, it was the scandal that followed that overshadowed everything. Arbuckle was accused of causing Rappe's death and endured multiple trials, though he was ultimately acquitted. Rappe's death at the age of 26 became a symbol of the darker side of Hollywood, where scandals, manipulation, and the pressure of fame collided in a deadly way. Lupe Velez, known as the Mexican Spitfire, was a vibrant and daring actress who became one of the top stars of the 1930s. She was known for her bold and playful persona, starring in films like The Bad One, 1930, and Mexican Spitfire, 1940. Velez was fiercely independent, often speaking out about the exploitation of actresses in Hollywood. Despite her success, she faced personal struggles, including a turbulent relationship with actor Harold Ramis. In 1944, Lupe Velez was found dead in her Hollywood apartment from an overdose of barbiturates. Her tragic death was ruled a suicide, though the circumstances surrounding it remain unclear. Velez's autopsy revealed that she had struggled with depression and was likely dealing with emotional distress from a breakup. Additionally, the actress had been in the midst of filming a new project, which was interrupted by her untimely death. Despite the mystery surrounding her passing, Velez's life and death serve as a reminder of the pressure actresses faced in Hollywood, particularly in an era when mental health was not as openly discussed. Her final days and the cause of her death remain one of Hollywood's most tragic and somber stories. Carol Landis was a well-known actress in the 1940s, admired for her beauty and her roles in films such as 1 Million BC, 1940, and I Wake Up Screaming, 1941. She was often compared to Marylin Monroe due to her looks and persona, but her career was marred by personal struggles and disappointments in Hollywood. On July 5, 1948, Carol Landis was found dead in her apartment, with an empty bottle of sleeping pills beside her. Her death was officially ruled a suicide, although it was later suggested that it may have been an accidental overdose. Landis had been battling depression due to failed relationships and an unfulfilling career, despite her outward success. Her autopsy confirmed that she had taken a lethal dose of barbiturates, which led to her tragic demise at the age of 29. The true reasons behind her death have remained a subject of speculation. It's known that Landis had been in a relationship with married actor Lee Marvin, which added to the emotional strain she was already experiencing. Despite her fame, Carol Landis's death highlights the dark side of Hollywood's glamour, where fame often masked deep emotional and mental turmoil. Barbara Payton, Once hailed as one of the most beautiful actresses of her time, had a promising career in the 1940s and 1950s. She starred in films like Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, 1950, and Bride of the Gorilla, 1951, but her personal life was plagued by scandal and tumultuous relationships. Her tragic decline began when she became involved in a series of high-profile destructive relationships, most notably with actor Franco Tone and boxer Tommy Noonan. Her struggles with addiction and a series of failed relationships led to a fall from grace, and by the 1960s she was largely forgotten by the public. In 1967, Barbara Payton was found dead in a rundown hotel room at the age of 39. Her autopsy revealed that she had died from heart failure due to acute alcoholism, which had taken a severe toll on her body. Payton's liver and heart were severely damaged from years of alcohol abuse, and her death was ruled as being due to complications of chronic alcoholism. Payton's story is an incredibly tragic one, showing how addiction, self-doubt, and the pressures of fame can tear apart even the most promising lives. Despite her early success in Hollywood, Payton's later years were filled with loneliness, addiction, and a steady decline into obscurity. The autopsies of Hollywood's most beloved stars reveal a haunting truth. Behind the fame and fortune, many of them suffered in silence. Addiction, mental illness, and even possible foul play contributed to their tragic ends. Their deaths serve as a reminder that no amount of celebrity status can shield a person from pain. If anything, their stories should encourage us to speak openly about mental health and addiction, to seek help when needed, and to remember that even our idols were human. Hollywood may have lost these stars, but their legacies and their lessons live on.